What's shaking? You're in the Beat Sessions, the place for all things music, and where we do the listening for you. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Let's chat about DZ Deathrays and this new album, R.I.f.f, or R.I.F.F as it's stylized. Whatever you want to roll with, they dropped that on June 2nd. This is studio album number 6 for the trio from Brisbane, and their follow-up to 2021's Positive Rising Part 2. They dropped Part 1 back in 2019. An excellent duo of records. Probably the most ambitious thing that these guys have done to date, and ushering in a new era with those albums. It kind of makes sense. They were a duo on their first 3 records. It was just Shane Parsons and Simon Ridley back in the day, but back in 2015, they started touring with guitarist Lachlan Eubank, and after 3 years, brought him aboard as a full-time member. 3 years, quite a bit of time to spend with someone, especially if you're playing music. You develop these relationships and the chemistry there. I think the most important thing having him aboard as a second guitarist is that, in that 3 years, they just had a chance to vet him. And I feel that he's very much on the same page in the songwriting process, going for that unapologetic, massive wall of sound coming at you at 100 miles an hour. And there's very few bands that do this successfully, in my opinion. I feel more often than not, if you're going for a sound this loud, it can just be too much. There are things that get lost in production. It's a difficult sound to go for, but I love them. And on this particular record, mixing it up a little bit, kind of an electronic feel, that's something that they're known for, but I feel like a little more than previous records. The sound on this record, though, it reminds me of a killer combination of like Cage the Elephant. Royal Blood is it's a band I hear a lot when I listen to these guys, but I think they're slightly better. And what I hear a lot on this record and in their sound in general is early AFI. If you're familiar with like that band's first 3 records, there's very much this driving hard rock and punk, but also pop oriented element to the sound. And I think that's what makes DZ Deathrays so good, is that their stuff, while being really heavy for the most part, is super catchy. And you talk about that big wall of sound coming at you. There's things that they do with their music. This record is 13 tracks, 32 minutes. It is their shortest affair to date, but I think their longest record is their debut. I think that's coming in around like 43 minutes. So this is a band that, working with, what they're doing, I think it's important that their compositions, while exploring a lot, they get in, they get out, they do what they need to do. And this album's a really good example of that. You got 10 solid tracks, 3 interludes basically on this thing. It's a great effort that is watching this band, grow in little ways while just maintaining and perfecting their sound. A ton of fun to listen to, a lot of energy. This band live, if you've never seen them, absolutely outstanding. And there's no doubt that this collection of songs is going to enhance their live show. So if they come near you, go check them out. This thing, it kicks off with Paranoid. I love the way that it comes in just with like these riding drumsticks, big fuzzy build in the guitars, then the drums start to build in big behind it, and then there's a stop. And then boom, this thing just comes in heavy and goes to work. Love the glam rock feel that this song is carrying. It's a ton of fun. Chorus has a nice hint of pop. You talk about those hooks and that element that's there. It's just perfection, in my opinion. I love the way that the music drops on this thing, and then the hook, this "Oi, oi, you're paranoid," and they just roll with this for a little bit, and then boom, it hits again, and they come off on the exit. Great album opener. I love this song. Hope for the Best is your second song. Pulsating lo-fi electronic percussion ushers in this excellent garage rock feel. I love the song, the way that it balances pop and hard rock just very nicely. Bit of surf rock working on this song. Nice way to lead into Tough Luck, your third track. Definitely one of the catchier songs. Chaotic drums open up into just this big fuzzy track. And this song is an example of where this band will border on just too much with their sound, but it's just like they rein it in just perfect on this thing. The production, the amount of guitars and textures that are coming at you, it's really a fine demonstration, in my opinion, of what makes this band really unique and one of a kind. And just Tough Luck, motherfucker, on this thing. I love that line. I love that hook. It's going to lead into your first interlude, which ushers in your 5th track, Shadow Walk. Great song, hard rocking with this cleaner production. And that's one of the things that I like. They're going for certain things on certain songs. So you get this just big kind of like cluster, what, on Tough Luck, but then it cleans up for Shadow Walk. And I think that's a cool transition and dynamic between those two songs. Bit of punk drive in this song and really feeling that early AFI, especially in the hook on this thing. As soon as I walk away, my shadow follows me. The hook is so good on this song. Definitely dig it. King B is your 6-track psychedelic electronics. Give way to this breezy riff and vocal. Energy slowly builds to usher in this funky groove. I really like the groove that this song rides when it finds it. The chorus, get this really nice guitar that working in the background of the second verse. And the second verse, the way that the music kind of fills in, it's really nicely done. And I like the way that this composition moves from start to finish. Great track. Probably my favorite, actually. My Mind Is Eating Me Alive is another contender for best track, though. Big drums behind a playful electro and guitar build. You get this song that settles into this jaunty groove, and I really like the bright vocal that's at work on this thing. Super catchy. It's like you listen to this thing, it's like I've never been so stoked for my mind to be eaten alive. The hook is great. You get this solo back to the hook. Really nice exit on the coda. Wonderful track. It leads into Grounded or Dead. Your A song's got this garage rock riff to open up. I love the tone on the guitars on this thing. The contrast of the riff against the loose drums and the bass, I like that dynamic against the rhythm. Brings things together nicely. Second verse is very different with the full instrumentation that fills out on this thing. Another cool track. Eat You Up is your 9th song. Great pop driven punk track. You got this nice rock and roll element to it, but bits of garage rock, surf rock. There's definitely a ton of rock and roll elements that are coming together to make this thing happen. Slow Down Interlude is your 10th song. Just got this chill electronic feel, this like kind of wavy ambient thing going on for a little bit that leads into Love and Destruction. Big fuzzy chunky riff to open up the vocal on this thing. Comes in mellow. The music for a moment is pretty chill as well, but I like the way that it comes back with this edgy psychedelic feel. And then your final track, Love and Destruction is basically your penultimate track. No Talk is going to be your final track. Big stomping drums and a cool riff to open. This thing, it sounds really punk. I like the alternative classic rock, a little bit of pop. Hits just really hard, and it's a great way to lead into outro, closing this thing out. This album's a ton of fun. This band is a lot of fun. And I don't know if you're familiar with the controversy back. Gosh, I think it was back in like 2020 or something like that, maybe a little before COVID. They had some lottery sponsorship or whatever, and everybody busted them up for selling out. But they're still here. They're still rocking out. We all make mistakes. And frankly, if it was a move that garnered them more exposure and allowed them to make these last 3 records and to tour behind them and do their thing, well then, damn it, I support him in that. Vinyl, please, on the DZ Deathrays new record Riff. I hope you enjoy this album. I hope you find this review helpful as well. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, do all the things to help us blow this project up in 2023, and stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews. We'll see you next time on the Beat Sessions.